Okay, welcome everyone to our October 17th, 2023, 2:00 legislative agenda meeting. Let the record reflect that we have all 5 commissioners are present and Commissioner French is on Zoom. We are going to start today with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if we'd all stand. Want to start, Josh?
Sure. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So, written testimony that was received, except for items 3A and 5A and 5B, which have been noted for the record. It is time for an open public forum. So we start off with that. So that is for any items that are not on our agenda today. So we don't have anyone currently signed up. So first call for anyone wishing to testify on any items not on our agenda today. Second call. Seeing no one online or no one in the audience, I will then close the open public forum and look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move to approve items 2, 3, and 4, including all sub-items on today's 2 p.m. consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve items 2, 3, and 4 and all sub-items on today's printed agenda. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. That will take us to item number 5A on today's agenda. And Mr. Zarecor, are you going to speak to that? And this is a continuation of a hearing that we had that today is just for decision only.
Thank you, Commissioner. I just had a few more items I wanted to enter into the record for clarity. The first is that this section of Big Rock was originally established by the Board of County Commissioners way back in May 16th, 1889. The subsequent surveys, maps, and reports all refer to this section of road. However, it was never reestablished or rededicated that we could find in our road files. And there's no evidence that was ever actually opened to the public. And in light of that, and based upon our legal review of it by our legal staff, they're telling us that in all likelihood, this was vacated through legislative action during that time period, a long time ago. So just wanted to enter that into the record for the board's consideration. Thank you.
And so your recommendation is to go ahead and vacate the road?
Functionally, that would be the most expedient thing to do. The other option would be to not vacate it, and then there'd be a whole quiet title process that would have to take place to get to the same finish line. So yeah, that would be an appropriate recommendation.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
So again, since this was a continued item and is for decision only, is there any further questions? I'm not seeing any, so I look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the county road engineer's recommendation and we vacate the portion of Big Rock Road, County Engineer Road File number 497 for Spokane County Public Works Department.
Second.
Very good. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. That will then take us to item number 5B on today's agenda, which is a public hearing item as well, to consider revising Spokane County Traffic Code section number 46.44.041, adding weight limits to Cooley Height Road Bridge numbers 0605 and Parker Road Culvert number 2816, and removing weight restrictions on Badger Lake Road Bridge number 1102 and Marshall Road Bridge number 2401 for the Spokane County Public Works Department. And we'll have a presentation from our County Road Engineer, Matt Zaragoza.
Thank you again, Commissioner. Yeah, so as you articulated, this is adding 2 load limits to 2 existing bridges and removing 2 load limits. And I'll get into a little more detail. The first one is Cooley Height Road. And you can see here, the only restriction is being added is for the single unit vehicle trucks. They call these super loads. And it's a very narrow restriction. The rest of the truck traffic's still okay. And this is in our MBI. It's over 20 feet, so it's not a short span. I talked to our bridge engineer about any future plans for replacing the bridge, and he said it's pretty far out, just in the overall way it ranks out with our current bridge inventory. He thought it was likely about 10 years out before we'd be able to apply for a grant to replace the bridge. So it'll be a little bit of time. That restriction is not a huge restriction. Those are a very specific load, and the restriction's just for that 25-ton max. I understand there's some people here that might be interested in testifying, and I'm happy to answer any questions that may come up on this one. And you can see this is in far west Spokane County, Cooley Height between Lincoln and Jacobs is the location. Next slide, please. This bridge is actually a culvert, I believe. Yeah, it is a culvert with Dragoon Creek running through it, and it's on Parker Road, just west of Monroe. This is on the west side of Deer Park in North Spokane County. And this is a similar restriction. It's the 25-ton max, the single unit that we're also restricting on this bridge. And just for a little background for the folks that might be interested, this is a new load that the federal government is having us look at with our bridges, and it's bringing up this need to restrict quite a few bridges. You've been seeing these kind of trickle in over the last few years as we continue to re-rate our bridges under this new requirement. Next slide. So the next bridge, this one we're actually removing a load limitation, and that was just strictly a function of how when we re-rated the bridge, it actually performed adequately. So we're removing the restriction. And this is on Badger Lake, the far southwest corner of the county, and it's actually the overflow from Badger Lake, as the name would suggest. Next slide. The last one we have to look at is Marshall Road Bridge over Marshall Creek. And this is along Cheney Spokane Road, right where Marshall Road ties in. And our road crews replaced this bridge. And so that's the reason we're removing the limitation on it. And just to, give a little credit where credit's due, our bridge crew does a phenomenal job replacing these small bridges that we can't get funding for through the normal state and federal programs. And it's been a huge asset, and they're actually expanding their abilities in that regard. And we're looking into doing the foundation work in addition to the superstructure that we've been doing currently. And happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? I don't see any. Thank you. Okay, so this is a public hearing item, and I have several people that have signed up to testify on this item. So I will open up the open public testimony, and we will start with Greg Luck. And Mr. Luck, as you come down, if you would just state your name and address for the record. Sure. And then you'll have 3 minutes to speak. And the timer's on there.
Okay.
And I think there'll be a little ding, but if not, I'll let you know.
Thank you for having very much. I'm Greg Luke, North 4826 Cooley Height Road. I'm a member of a Spokane County Fire District. The bridge that you're talking about is of vital importance to us to drive our tankers across that road to even this gentleman's house, my house, further down. If you want us to take a different route, we can go down Wood Road. If you've been down Wood Road, you can see 60,000 pounds going down that curve, going down like that is scary at best. We're on all volunteers. I really don't think that this is a good idea to put our volunteers in that kind of danger. Plus, at this point in time, the distance is greater. It takes us longer. You go down that hill, you have to pull back out of it. It takes much longer. The other thing we usually do is when we have a big fire, we use help. And we'll use the fertilizer companies. We'll use farmers. I don't care who you are, you haul water. And without that ability, how are we going to put out our fires? It's very, very important that emergency services get the job done. We're small, we're volunteers. We do the best we can. But without that bridge, I can't handle that. Plus, personally, you're asking me to go around an extra 5 miles and go down through that canyon with my semi. I can't afford to hire a professional driver. I can't be there all the time. You're putting other people in danger at this point in time. Please leave it the way it is. Please fix the bridge and help us out maintain our public. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. So next I have Jason Elkenbacher. I'm sure I did not say that right.
Can I ask a question before I talk on the restrictions or? Well, I didn't get my hand, but I can post your question. Okay, we'll answer. Okay, that'd be great. Jason Eckelbarger, 3526 North Ritchie Road, Spokane County. I'm a farmer in that area, and the way I'm understanding it is, and the way we see it on the sign is 25-ton maximum load. Out there, we use that road to haul our materials to the elevator further down height, and also to bring fertilizer and products into our farms. I alone probably haul 150 semi-loads of product, averaging 80 to 90,000 pounds down that road every year, and especially during the majority of it during the harvest season. The alternative is to go off of seasonal summer roads, go into Lincoln County from where I'm at and into the Reardon elevator. Highline our grain co-op. I would not be the only one doing this. We would have hundreds of truckloads on these back roads that are not designed for it. So there are some real issues in a short period of time, especially during the harvest season, of getting product in and around that bridge if we cannot cross it. So the alternatives are not great out there for all season roads, and especially in the spring when we're trying to seed and harvest, and how do we get products in on seasonal roads that are not maintained. So that's I guess just my 2 cents worth. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Next I have John Merkel.
No, I am not a resident of Spokane County, so I don't know if that matters.
That's okay. You can still
Okay.
just state your name for the
My name is
record.
John Merkel. I live in Reardon, Washington. I'm here representing Valley Ag. We're a farm supply producer cooperative with many locations throughout Eastern Washington. And Cooley Height Road is of vital importance to our business. We transport many truckloads of fertilizer, crop protection products up and down Cooley Height Road. It's kind of the main north-south road from Highway 2 into that northwest part of Spokane County. There's really no other good way to get there. A couple of the other folks have talked about Wood Road, which I don't know if anybody's familiar with that. There was a sharp, narrow, steep canyon to go down through that in any of the winter time, it is heavily shaded. So it's very icy. It's also known as Dead Man's Canyon because there's a lot of wrecks down in there. Or the other option is the unmaintained summer or seasonal dirt roads, which are either poorly maintained, not maintained at all, or definitely not any time when the weather is wet. We don't always have a lot of our trucks that are in excess of 50,000 pounds, but we do have trucks that are in excess of that. And it would just put a lot of extra traffic on a lot of the back roads, the summer roads, the gravel roads that would which are the roads that most of the farmers use when they're moving their equipment as they try and stay off the paved roads, which then can be dangerous because we do haul hazardous material. So we always try to take the shortest, safest route possible. I would like to ask you to reconsider placing the 50,000 pound weight rating on the Cooley High Bridge, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. So next I have Kurt Karstens.
Good afternoon. My name's Kurt Karstens. I live on Cooley Height Road, first house after the bridge there. I know all farms have increased in size and the loads that we carry. And I don't know what the plan is for, he's saying 10 years down the road to replace the bridge. We actually kind of need to know what the time frame is so we can adjust what we're going to do. And I know my biggest concern is emergency services. You know, if there's a fire out in the timber, there's no tankers gonna go across it because the signage. When I first saw it, it said 25 ton, doesn't matter how many axles you have, that's the limit. Well, if you're hauling a semi, you're way over that. And all the trucks now with the drop axles and stuff, 25 ton is I mean, they're gonna be around 30 ton. So I don't know if that's any consideration, and I know it's also a way for some real heavy loads the bypass the Spokane corridor to get to the north side and bypass Spokane, because I've seen some big ass mining equipment get hauled through there. And I think the bridge inspector cringed at how big they were. So I'd like to know is what's the time frame of, are they gonna replace it, fix it, or what's gonna happen?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I have one more, Bo Duff.
Good afternoon. I don't live in Spokane County, but I represent Highline Grain Growers, and we have several facilities in Spokane County. One of our facilities is south of the bridge here on Cooley Height Road. Our concern is our elevators are put where they are to service certain acres in that area. They're sized accordingly so that we're not overfilling one, or, you know, they're spreading the bushels out over that area appropriately. And if this bridge is cut off, then it's going to push more grain into Reardon, which overloads Reardon, doesn't allow access to this elevator, which causes a problem for our growers, for us logistically. Safety wise, you're putting more big trucks in the community of Reardon. I mean, there's a lot of things that this will impact that you probably heard a lot about. I think we did request some information. We got that maybe that what's posted out there is a little different than what the setup is for the axle wise. I don't know if you're going to provide some clarification on that. We did get an email saying that there's different load limits for different size trucks or with axle spacing and whatnot. So I hope that that'll be presented, but our concern is not only what these guys have already shared, but that it's going to, you know, cause an efficiency issue, logistical issue, and the way that our system is designed, it throws that all out of whack. So it's definitely a big concern for us. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. So this is a public hearing item. Those are all the people that have signed up in advance. Is there anyone else who would like to testify? Third call for anyone else wishing to testify on item 5B today. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. So Mr. Zarecor, maybe you can help us address some of those, and then Commissioner French, do you want to speak before Matt, or do you want Matt to speak first and then you?
No, let Matt go first. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. First, I'd just like to thank everybody for coming out. It's really nice to have public involvement and have people expressing their concerns so we can help try and address them. As we talked, this is for just the single unit only. If it's truck and trailers, the restriction isn't being applied. And hearing the emergency service folks talk, that's a big deal to us too, obviously. And we're always looking at the alternate routes and access, and we want it to be safe for everybody. But along those same lines, that's why the bridge is being posted. It's a safety concern that the bridge could fail. So don't really have the latitude to say yes or no to emergency services. It's a structural failure that we're at risk of, so you can't exempt anybody. That being said, Gina, is there contact information on those slips that we could get from you? If not, I'm happy to meet with the folks afterwards and just get everybody's phone number. What I'd like to do is reach out to them all and just make sure we're understanding both their operations and the loads that they're running, and just see if there's anything that can be done. Again, it's a structural rating. We don't have latitude in that regard. It has to be posted legally. So it's nothing that we can do anything immediately about, but it might affect where we place it in our rankings, depending on the amount of truck traffic and the priority that we all feel we should be placing on the bridge. So that's kind of any questions from the board.
Thank you. I know Commissioner French does.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Zarecor, and I appreciate the offer to reach out to the folks here in the audience as well as the folks out in the community. This is a critical element of infrastructure out in the northwest part of the county, and obviously with when you look at that aerial, you can see that all of the area around this bridge is being farmed, so to remove this out of the infrastructure, I think it's going to have a ripple effect and stuff. So I would like to make a motion that we defer action on the Cooley Height Road Bridge weight limits for 2 weeks, and give Mr. Zarecor an opportunity to meet with the stakeholders out there and make sure that, one, there's a full understanding about what trucks are impacted and which ones aren't, but also to develop a strategy to say, you know, if we have no choice but to weight limit this bridge, what's a timetable to replace it? Because as we've experienced with the Gray and Oregon fires, access for fire equipment in these areas is vital. And without the access, these areas will blow up and torch on us and travel like an incredible speed. So I think there's a lot of factors that need to be taken into consideration. And before the board takes an action, I'd like to give staff the opportunity to meet with the stakeholders and develop a plan for moving forward. So that's my motion, Madam Chair. Thank you.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. I have a motion and a second to defer for 2 weeks, the weight limits to restrict Cooley Height Road Bridge number 0605. So we would defer that to October 31st, 2023 at 2:00. Any further discussion?
Oh, Madam Chair, just so that was the other bridges were not brought for, there was nothing brought forth in testimony about them this evening. So this is the one that needs a little more discussion, just clarifying.
Correct. And I would look to Mr. Anderson to let me know if we can parse this out or if we need to defer all four.
Yes.
I'm fine deferring all four, just so.
I've not looked at. Are all four being done in the same document?
One public hearing, not one document. Well, it could be one resolution. We can defer them all. 2 weeks is not going to make or break anything.
If we have separate documents, we could do the other ones that they could be parsed out as long as they're being executed in separate with separate documentation.
I believe it's one resolution.
And it is a single resolution. I think with the other ones could probably be brought back forward next week. If that's okay with Matt, if that works.
Or we can just keep them bundled and just revisit it all for 2 weeks from now.
At the board's preference.
Okay. Well, I have a motion and a second. Commissioner French.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to request that we parse this one out and bring it back separately from the other three so that we don't hold back the other three. I mean, we can reconsider the other three next week or in 2 weeks, but trying to bundle them all together makes it problematic. If we could parse them out, that'd be great. Thank you.
So Commissioner French, they're currently all bundled together. So it's one resolution for all four. So I think if you're okay with withdrawing your motion, I think, then we would just bring all the bundle back in 2 weeks. Oh, wait, Mr. Zarecor?
Yeah, and just would like to point out to the board, I'm going to be gone in 2 weeks. So Kyle, our Public Works Director, would be happy to handle it, or we can push it out 3 weeks and I'll be back to address it either way.
I have a question for
Commissioner Howard?
council. Could the board make a motion to strike references to that particular bridge from the documents as to the other three? And then a separate motion to defer the other item? Would that address the issue?
I believe it would. It would just result in a bit of a messier document. But yes, legally speaking, I think that would execute the intent.
Okay, just second, Commissioner French and then Mr. Zarecor.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I would like to withdraw my motion and replace it with a motion to defer action on this item for 3 weeks and give Mr. Zarecor and his staff time to meet with stakeholders prior to taking final action.
And I was just going to point out 2 of these are removing weight restrictions. So, there's nobody being hurt by the failure to remove a weight restriction on a bridge that doesn't need to be posted. So 3 weeks would be great. Appreciate the time.
Okay, so I have a motion.
Slated.
Yes, to defer. Just going to clarify that the motion that I heard Commissioner French is to, you withdrew your previous motion and we would be deferring item 5B for 3 weeks for just consideration or for decision only, not we would close the public hearing at this point. Is that correct?
Madam Chair, you nailed it.
Very good. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to defer item 5B for 3 weeks, which will be November 7th at 2:00 for decision only. And I guess any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Zarecor. And I would say too, thank you very much for everyone coming down to testify because it does help us understand the needs in that area and make a decision accordingly. So thank you all very much. Now I look to Mr. Simmons and Mr. Anderson for any further items.
2 miscellaneous items, commissioners, just a reminder, you're already aware, but for the public, we do have a ribbon cutting this Thursday at the Small Arms Range out on Craig Road and 902. That is going to be happening at noon on Thursday. So public is encouraged to join. And then next Thursday at 11 a.m., we will be holding a winter operations briefing at our Wilbur Vault location over off of Ash. So just some awareness for the public of a couple upcoming activities that the commissioners have. And that was all I had for miscellaneous.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe we have 2 or three, including Commissioner French's executive sessions. I believe all of these executive sessions are going to be regarding pending potential litigation pursuant to RCW 4230 110 1I. The first one, I believe, will be 10 minutes. It should include the board, myself, CEO Scott Simmons, and Senior Director of Human Resources Ashley Cameron. No action on that item. The second will include the board, myself, CEO Scott Simmons. And just 1 minute, I think we're needing anybody else for that one. No, I think that one will be it. That one will also be 10 minutes and no action. And then the final one, Commissioner French, do you want anybody else present aside from the rest of the board, Scott and myself?
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay. And I believe Commissioner French mentioned that would be 5 minutes, and I'm guessing no action.
No action. You're right. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. So we will be going into executive session for the three items that were just stated for a total of 25 minutes. No action is anticipated. So as we will adjourn for the day after we're done with our executive session, and we'll let the clerk know if we extend it any longer. So with that, it is 2:35 and we'll